Hello my friends, welcome to yoga joints workout. By joints, working on joints, not on bone obviously, but we're going to be strengthening the muscle that supports the joints, which is something I've discovered one cannot take for granted due to having recently sprained my knee during running. So it's something we should all be doing and focusing on. And by being strength building, it's also calorie burning. Yay! So to begin, we're just going to start off. Oh, before I start, have some wall handy because I'm going to make this accessible to different levels of mobility and experience. So if you're an experienced yogi and you have a mat and want to do some of the options on the mat, I'll be demonstrating those. We've also got some wall options or a solid door or something you can push your weight against, okay? That's for, especially if you don't like getting down onto mats, or you can use a sofa. Do some of the options on the sofa if you wish. So to begin, we're going to start with some sun salutations. I might as well use my mat as it's here, but it's not necessary to have one because this is all standing. So just opening up the spinal joints first of all. Breathe in, sweep up. Rock your weight into the heels and reach as tall as you can, and then just bring your pelvis slightly tucked so that you don't arch in that lower back too much. Then on an exhale, sweep the arms open and gently fold forward. You can have your feet close together, or if you need a little bit more access or flexibility, have them quite wide apart. Just see what works for you. And then just keep your chin tucked and just let all the tension drain out of the body. Now, if when you're upside down, you need to take really lovely deep breaths, that's going to facilitate the stretch, and it will help take any contractions out of the body. So lovely deep breath in and exhale. On an in-breath, now bring your hands to the top of your thighs. Pull your shoulder blades down the back and drive the crown of your head forward. So you can't look at me. So drive the crown of the head forward and stare down at the floor, pushing against those thighs and pulling those shoulders down. That is to extend your spine, to get some elongation there. And then on another exhale, soften and fold again. You're welcome to take ragdoll, which is just holding the elbows or wrists just to get a little bit more traction in there. Dudley my cat wants to explain some of these movements, don't you, Dudders? He knows all about joint issues because he only has 3 legs. Yeah, big baby. And breathe in, sweep up, all the way up. Try and reach towards the ceiling. Drive your weight through the heels so the weight is getting back in the heels. And exhale, bring the hands down to chest height. So we'll repeat that again. And if you have a cat on your mat, you can give them a stroke while you're down. So breathe in, sweep the arms up. Exhale and fold downwards. Tickle the cat. Breathe in. Put your hands on the top of the thighs, pull those shoulders back, stare down at the floor, drive your crown of head forward to really elongate the spine. And on an exhale, release and fold. Keep the chin tucked. What do you think about that, Dudley? And then slowly roll it up. Head finally unfolding. Reach those arms tall. Deep breath, exhale, hands to the heart. Lovely. You can do a few more of those if you feel that you're just quite enjoying the stretch in the opening. But otherwise, we're going to start with a classic strength building move, downward dog. And I'm going to show you the wall version first. So if you don't have a mat or don't want to get down on the floor or have limited mobility, to do a downward version of a downward dog on the wall, place your hands. So start with them at shoulder height and then walk a handprint above. Now take a step back and push firmly into the palms. At the same time, push firmly into the feet and press back. Oh my goodness, you get such a fabulous stretch. Really pull up the stomach. So push equally through feet. Spread the fingers as wide as you can. Spread the toes as wide as you can and just push. This is also a really nice option if you have weaker wrists. For the more experienced version, excuse me, Dudley, again, if you start on hands and knees, handprint in front, tuck the toes, crunch in the belly and push up. And whichever position, and get a tail tuck, squeeze in the belly, again, splay the fingers wide as you can because you want to take the pressure out the wrists, so you really want to push into those finger pads. Doesn't matter how high the heels are, you can have knees bent as you like, but just push equally through the hands, equally through the toes, crunch up that belly and get a lovely stretch all across the back of the body. And try and look down at your mat or the wall, whichever position you're in. That's right, isn't it, darling? Yes. And then whichever option you have chosen, gently walk yourself into a standing position. Roll those shoulders back, give them a bit of a release. Good. So downward dogs, whichever option you choose. Also the wall option is really lovely if you're at work or something. You just need to stretch out all that back body and spine. So the next move we're going to do, we're going to demonstrate on the wall again first. And again, it's really good if you have sore wrists. So we're going to do plank, and it's sort of similar basis to what we've just done with downward dog, because downward dog is a more pushed out version. Plank body is straight. So place your hands flat on the wall. This time they're going to be directly shoulder aligned with wrist, so they should be in a straight line. And you want to have enough distance that you can push hard, so a little bit of give, just a very micro bend in those elbows. Now push and turn so that the inside of your elbow is starting to face upwards, so you can really root down. And again, push more into the finger pads so you're not pushing fully into the wrists. Now have your feet hip width apart so that you've got a nice straight spine, and just push your feet and your heels as hard into the floor as you can, and at the same time, with a gentle slight bend in those elbows, push hard against the wall. Pull up that stomach so it's supporting the lower back, and just keep pushing. Even if you're capable of a floor plank, this is incredibly effective. You'll feel it all across your shoulders, because what we're trying to do is build that strength in the elbows and the shoulders and the wrists all at the same time. Okay, so if you're doing this version, look at the wall. Keep doing that. Take breaks when you can. If you get muscle shake, that is fabulous. So, excuse me, Dudley, to show you the floor version, same principles. So, have your hands directly under your shoulders. Walk your feet back. You can keep your knees to the floor, but maintain that stomach, and then just do plank like that with a very slight micro bend. Or you can go to full plank. The most important thing, again, splay those fingers wide because you don't want to put too much pressure into those wrists. Push into those finger pads and try and turn so the inside of your elbow is pointing towards the top of the mat. Tailbone tuck. And it doesn't matter how many times, if you hold for a couple of seconds, if you are feeling it, then it is working for you. And it doesn't matter, therefore, how long you're holding it. Crunch the belly in and and go back to it as many times as you like, but when you're done, push up and gently step away from the wall or come up to standing off the mat. Shrug those shoulders back, link those fingers behind. That really makes the shoulders work hard, and you're just simply using your own body weight to tone. So we're now going to do forearm plank. Lovely. Forearm plank, because you no longer have an extra bit of arm, it puts much more strength building around the shoulder. So this time, step towards the wall, have your elbow in line with your shoulder, and place your hands nice and firmly so you can get a good push. And again, feet hip width apart, get that tailbone tuck and start pushing into those heels, and push at the same time fully into the forearms against the wall. And if you find you're not getting enough, it's not hard enough, take a step back so you can push more body weight. So the further back you go, the more body weight your shoulders are having to support. So you find what works for you. You want to get to the point where it's a bit challenging. If you get to the shakes, that's fantastic. If you want to do the mat version, this is going to be a little harder with the cat in the way, but we shall see. So once more, hands under shoulders to begin. Then where your hands are, put your elbow, hands flat to the floor. You can also link the fingers if you like to do so. You can walk the knees back. So if you find, so crunching those abs, the most important thing, and then push hard against the floor. So you're pushing as hard against the mat as you can. And if you want to come up onto your toes, try and keep a straight line. Thank you, Dudley. So you're really crunching in those abs, but the most important thing is not dumping down into the shoulders. You've really got to push away. So push through those forearms, push through those fingertips. Your shoulders are pushing up as high as you can. You could almost get a slight rounding in the shoulders there, and stare down at the floor. Right? Yes. Oh, I love Dudley, but his breath smells of fish, doesn't it, baby? Yes. Okay. And when you feel you've had enough, gently step away from the wall or release out of that pose. Repeat it as many times as you can. Most important thing is not allowing your shoulders to sag. So it's better to do just tiny short bursts in whatever range, and then you build up your strength over time. I'm getting slightly out of breath, so it shows you that it's actually quite hard work. Well done. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on strengthening our ankles, our feet, our knees, and we're also going to get a quad stretch. So again, there are variations, there are gradings. So standing on one leg in any case is a fantastic strength building exercise for your legs and ankles and feet. But it's perfectly valid to use the wall for support. And the more you lean into the wall, the less you're working on the foot. So just do what is accessible for you. So it's absolutely fine if you need to have a full hand, but if you start to feel confident, try a fingertip. So the first leg we're going to do, I'm going to turn sideways for you to see, and we're going to do go towards the dancer pose. So take one foot off the floor. The most important thing is you're keeping your knees towards each other. It's tempting to go, but try and keep the knees in towards each other. Okay, hand on wall if you need. If you're confident that you don't need to, that's fine. And then just keep the foot flexed. When we flex a foot, that is engaging the muscles around the knee joints. Squeeze in your abs because you want to support your lower back. And this is going to, in of itself, is a quad stretch, which is a good release for those muscles around the knee and the hip joints. Now, press your shoulders back. So you're pushing not your chest upwards. So we're pushing upwards and reach those hands towards the feet. Now the object is not to be able to grab it and push it up unless that is easily accessible to you. What is far more important, and in a way more strength building, is not to grab your foot with your hand, but to rely on your strength alone. So again, remember, you pull those abs in so the back is always supported, and then just push that heel up, foot flexed, roll those shoulders back and down and thrust the chest forward and reach those hands towards the foot. If you need to have one hand on the wall, then just reach one hand behind, change and reach the other hand behind. Okay, push that, try and get that heel upwards to the ceiling if you can. Remember to really squeeze in those abs. Okay, so gently release, she says, almost wobbling. So actually, we're getting this lovely stretch on the leg that's off the floor, but it is the supporting leg that is having the strength built around those knee and ankle joints. So we'll do the other side. Demonstration purposes, I'm going to turn away from the wall this time. So once more, feet nice and firmly into the floor. Bend one knee. If it's comfortable for you to do so and you've easily got the flexibility, you can hold the foot. But as I said, I sometimes find it's actually harder work not to. Flex that foot to engage those knee muscle joints. Keep the knees more towards each other. Start pushing that heel up, but at this point you really need to engage those abs to support that lower back. So don't compromise if your back starts to hurt. Don't push the heel up any further because that's not right for you. And then roll those shoulders back and down and pin those arms behind. And again, if you're against the wall, do one hand, press behind, and then the other, because it's a lovely stretch between the shoulders anyway. Okay, so again, it's really with the support leg as well. Try not to lock it. Try and have a little softness in that knee. And then push deeply into the heel. And the other one just pushing up, reaching back. And you should feel it all the way up the legs on both sides. Lovely. So we're going to counter stretch that for the lower back. So sitting nice and softly. Crunch up that pelvis, round the shoulders, and hold the elbows and tuck the chin. Just having the little counter stretch from that arch, that back arch. And come back up. Lovely. So we're now going to do some more knee joint and leg joint work. I'm going to use warrior. So because Dudley's occupying my mat at the moment, I'll just down the floor. So warrior, one foot facing front, other foot, heel lines directly up with the instep of the first foot. Okay, find the width that is comfortable to you. And bring up the toes and then carefully lay them down so they're wider than normal. Now, this is going to be both shoulders and legs. We're not going to do very much, but you will feel it. So, first of all, alignment with the knees before we worry about arms. That knee needs to track towards sort of middle toe. The temptation is to let it flop inwards or flop outwards, which is misalignment. So you want that knee above the ankle directly, not lunging forward. So check that. Make sure it's not gone beyond there, and then press the knee. Sometimes it's nice just to hold your hand gently there, just so that it opens, so that it's just going towards that middle toe. Okay, and then with the back foot, you never forget the back foot because you want to bring your weight evenly to the center. In order to do so, push strongly with both feet into the floor, and now try and squeeze those thighs together. Your buttocks engage, which is nice for your hip joints, and just really squeeze and push. So as you're pushing down, you're engaging all your ankle joints, and your shins and calves start working, which is helping on your knee joints, and you'll feel as you squeeze those thighs together, they will wrap around your hip joints, shoulders. That's the only thing we've got to worry about now. So keep pushing, keep squeezing those legs together. Now open your arms, check that they're exactly lined up with your shoulders. Okay, so look down one side, which is a nice neck stretch, and then look down to the other arm. Now for shoulder alignment, by the way, try and get a little pelvic tuck here so that you're not arching and dumping into that lower back. You want to tuck up that pelvis, you'll feel the pull here. So with your arms, shrug them down and open, and now try and extend your fingertips as far away from each other as you can. It's quite tiring, I suppose, isn't it? You're very lucky I didn't make you hold your arms up earlier. So at this point, because you've been focusing on it, have a look down at your knee. Has it started to flop inwards? Press that back to the middle toe. Push into those feet. Squeeze those thighs together. Tuck that pelvis. Press those fingertips opposite to each other, keeping those shoulders really open. That in a bit is enough, but we're going to gently come forward, nice abs pulled in, and rest our forearm onto our thigh. Now, because I'm more interested in our knee joints at the moment, we're going to simply rest this arm, tuck it behind the back, keeping that shoulder pulled back, and I'll try and push hard into this foot, push hard into that foot, and then just push down with your forearm onto the top of your thigh to try and turn your torso a little bit more. And if your neck allows, turn to look up at the ceiling. Keep those abs pulled in. And then gently look back to camera. Now, before we come up, here's your feet. So engage buttocks, engage all the thigh muscles, squeeze, 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 and slowly press yourself up with control. Good. Turn the toes in, heel toe inwards, and shake it out. And we shall do the other side. So, legs wide apart, front toe forward, knee directly over ankle. Line that heel with the instep of the back foot. Find the width that feels comfortable to you. It might be much closer together than mine, it doesn't matter. Now, that knee, try and press it so it's pointing directly over your middle toes. Tailbone tuck, and push, really push through that back heel, really push into that front foot. Okay, so your whole legs are engaged, and now try and start squeezing those thighs together. It actually lifts you up a little bit. So you've got that pelvic tuck, you're squeezing the thighs together, everything is engaged. And now we open our arms wide, drive your fingertips in opposite directions, shrug those shoulders back. So this alone might even get you sweating. Push through the floor, press that knee in alignment, tailbone tuck, squeeze those thighs together, really engage those buttocks, open wide, 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 wide. And now we're going to bring that forearm on to rest on top of that thigh, tuck that hand behind the back so you can press that shoulder back, and gently start pushing that forearm onto that thigh so you can get a little twist through the torso. And if your neck allows, turn to look up at the ceiling. Nice. And we're now going to push, squeeze through the thighs, the buttocks, through the feet on the floor, and come upwards. And then gently heel toe. Give it another little shake. Good. So another fantastic especially knee joint strengthener, which is a big thing for me at the moment, is chair pose. But we're going to do it against the wall. So find your wall or door or whatever you're using. I'll show chair pose without a wall if you don't have one handy. So get your back line everything up against the wall. Take a step forward, feet hip width apart, tailbone tuck, and slide yourself down. Now you need your knees to be directly aligned over your heels, so if you need to take a little adjustment, then do so. And you just come down to wherever you think enough. So now start pushing through those heels really energetically. So you're really engaging your ankles and your calves and your shins, and the ligaments around the knees are really starting to work. Press those shoulders hard against the wall, press those hands against the wall, and push against the floor. So you might well get a shake, I certainly am, and push. So in many ways, this can be more effective than a freestanding chair pose, but we're going to do both. Right, now release and relieve as much as you need to, and just go back into it. If you want a slightly more advanced one, and only if you feel comfortable to do so, get into your deep seat and slowly raise up those heels and really push into the balls of the feet, which because you need that tailbone tuck, and really push. So you'll feel it really, all the ligaments around the knee joints really engaging. Push those shoulders into the back into the wall as well. Oh my goodness, I'm shaking like mad. Slowly lower those heels and press yourself up. Little leggy wobble. Can you hear I'm out of breath? Good. So freestanding chair pose. Two options, toes together. I'll go on the mat. Dudley's allowed me a bit of space. Toes together, heels apart. That's a bit more challenging to your balance, but if your balance is challenged, it means your muscles work harder to hold you stable. If you, however, you feel you need the extra stability, then have feet hip width apart. I'm going to go for close together, so toes touching. And sweep your arms forward as you let your hips sink back. So you're going to sit on an invisible chair. Now at this stage, you look down and you need to see your toes and feet quite clearly. If your knees are too forward, that means you've blocked the toes. So push those hips back. Reach your arms forward for counterbalance. Now, when your arms are forward, they're adding a little extra weight for your thighs to support. So if you find it too much, bring them hands in prayer to the chest. At this point, you also need a little bit of a pelvic tuck, and you'll feel it in the lower back. It's a really good lower back stretch. So this is also good for your hip joints. And then reaching forward, tailbone tuck, and push those heels into the floor to the point you can turn those toes up. Crunching those abs, reaching forward. And again, if it's too much with arms forward, bring them to hands in front. You can experiment, go a little bit lower. Keep squeezing those thighs together, squeeze them together. You'll feel the buttocks engage as well. Squeeze it all together, squeeze the belly up, pull up the pelvic floor. And then come up to standing. Reach those arms wide. Right, the next part, we're going to release and stretch all those shaky muscles. If you don't want to go down on a mat, you are welcome at this stage to lie down fully stretched on the sofa. If, however, you want to use the wall, at this stage we're going to do bridge pose, but that's kind of hard to do standing, but just step your feet forward, not into a full chair pose, but just so that you can push your spine against the wall, and starting with the lower vertebrae, gradually press vertebrae by vertebrae going up the spine until finally you can rest your head against the wall. Shrug those shoulders back and down and just press gently against the wall. The sofa or mat version, bridge pose, I shall have to straddle Dudley here a little bit. Gently coming down to the mat. Just move your tail, Dudley, thank you. And arms pulled down so the shoulders are out of the ears. Try and get that lower back settled comfortably into the mat. Step your heels towards your buttocks, hands flat to the floor, breathe in. On an exhale, slowly peel those vertebrae one at a time. Pushing up, up, up. Now stare at the ceiling and listen to my voice. If you find that you're tucking your chin in, try and just level it up so your face is parallel with the ceiling, just to keep that neck in line with the spine. Gently press down with your forearms to raise those hips a little higher. Take some nice breaths. If you want, you can raise your heels, push those hips up a little higher. And then slowly, slowly, on an exhale, we're going to press one vertebrae at a time into the wall. Slowly, slowly, slowly lowering our hips. And let that settle down gently. Now is the time for Shavasana, the corpse pose. This is really important. I never used to get it when I used to practice yoga. I thought, what is the point? But actually, especially when you've been doing a vigorous strength building yoga sequence like this, your body needs a moment or two. Well, I say a moment or two, at least a minute before you get up and move off. Muscles are also quite vulnerable when they've been very deeply stretched, and so they do need a little bit of recovery. So it's much safer and much nicer to just rest. Lie down on a sofa, lie down on a mat, or just sit down if neither is available. If it's comfortable to you, you can extend your legs. Dudley's demonstrating the cat version. Aren't you, darling? If you like a spinal twist, bring your knees bent and just let them flop over to one side with your arms in a nice T shape. That's nice. And breath. Breath is everything, my friends. It will stop muscles aching. Sorry, Dudley. I'm here behind the cat. Okay. Breathe in. If you've got your knees to one side, breathe them up to centre. Give them a bit of a hug to release that back. Maybe have a little rock and roll there. And then gently let them flop to the other side. T-shaped arms. And back to your deep breathing. I'm getting some deep purry breathing in my ear right now. Aren't I handsome? Who's your beautiful boy? Who's your beautiful boy? Yeah, you lovely, aren't you, darling? Yeah, he's an old boy. Aren't you handsome? You call him Grandad. Yeah. And then gently bring those knees back. And my darlings, if you're ready to get up, let your knees flop over to one side. I'm coming this side so I can still talk to you. Or whichever side feels good. Slowly, the whole point is, if you have been still for a long time, you do not get up suddenly and rush off. You have to move slowly. Okay, friends. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of strength building with me, and take care of those joints. We take them for granted, and then something happens, as happened to me running, and never had a knee problem before. Suddenly I'm incapacitated. So it doesn't matter what your age is, your joints are so essential, and the way we take care of them for now and in the future is to strengthen all those muscles and ligaments that support and hold them. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed that. Namaste.